everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. Today I'm joined by Jess Dye, frontwoman of surf rock band Wasted and also super fabulous DJ. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, oh my god. This is one of the first interviews I think I'm doing earlier in the day, and it's kind of nice to wake up and do a little chatting.
Yeah, no, I've been on nocturnal sleeping schedule lately, so it's been good to slowly inch it back to being a daytime person.
Yeah. Makes you feel a little bit more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. It is weird sending all of your emails at 3 a.m. I'm sure people are like, why is she still up?
Oh my god. So, I've known Jess for a long time, and I know a lot about your music journey. But if you want to just start off a little bit about how you got into music, how you got started.
It's funny because we kind of know each other from running around on Ludlow Street, and that's sort of where High Wasted was born. We all met on Ludlow Street. We drank in the bars on Ludlow Street. I wrote so many songs about things that happened to me on Ludlow Street, ended up working there. And that's sort of what kicked off the birth of High Wasted. But I was doing music a little bit in DC under a project called Lightfoot before I moved up here, and just sort of used the opportunity of New York to reinvent myself. And New York became sort of the fifth member of my band.
That's awesome. And yeah, I feel like a lot of your stories, especially in your first album, was just specifically around those experiences on Ludlow Street.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of hard not to write about what you're living daily, and I just I think coming out of quarantine, everyone's going to have these lockdown records, it's going to be such a vibe listening to the music that was made in 2020 and 2021. But I know for that first record, it's all very much New York, and the end of my 20s in New York, which is an important part of anyone's life. So it was quite different from what I was doing when I first started music, which was more a folky, artsy kind of 2010 Zooey Deschanel bangs era down in DC. So it was a 180 when I moved to New York.
How did you make that transition between music styles?
It's funny because I had kind of been writing things that I wanted to have a surf pop band forever, and just didn't really know how to execute it and didn't really know how to make that jump. But I had been sitting on essentially all of that first record in some bits and fragmented pieces, and it really wasn't until I met New York in a way that I had the confidence to do it, and also I kind of realized that that's the only music I'm really good at dancing to, that sort of 60s swing your hips stuff. And so more so the music was born out of necessity for dance moves than it was for I want to be in this genre now. It was more I want to be able to dance and have fun on stage versus doing the very serious folky stuff, where you're singing from your heart, and every show is really quiet. And I wanted the exact opposite. I wanted loud and party.
Well, you definitely bring that literally every time you have a concert. It's just a giant party, whether it's bubble guns, confetti, you're in a giant cloud dress or something. It's insane. If you go to a high-waisted show, it's not just a concert, it's a party.
Oh, I love that. That's my only goal for the band is to make it not feel like concerts, to make you feel like you're going to your best friend's birthday party, and now it's your birthday too.
Yeah. What's been some of your most fun creations that you've put together for shows?
Oh gosh, I threw a show on a boat for years that was untoppable. I'm so happy that we did the last one right before lockdown, the year before, because I would have been so bummed to have had that been canceled. Yeah, the boat shows were kind of number one. I'm trying to think what else. We did a really cool rooftop series of parties that was one weekend, and we played one of those shows with surfboard on top of the Gateway's rooftop, which is not there anymore. It's the Broadway now over in Brooklyn, and you couldn't even get on the rooftop, it wasn't legal, but we managed to let them throw a big show up there. I'm trying to think. There's got to be one more that's really crazy. it's like everything blurs together. Looking back, I'm like, which night was that? It was the night with balloons and confetti. And it's like, no, they were all nights with balloons and confetti. I mean, you did mention the cloud dress, and that was our Acid Tapes Volume 4 release party.
Yeah.
Where we did with Acid Tapes is sort of like a collection of songs that we do, covers and originals, and mix them all together, and it plays as like side A and side B, like a mixtape all the way through, like no stops with found sounds. It's meant to be like enjoyed in one entire go. So we usually try to do something a little funky for the show that reflects that. And that show, we opened up with Crimea River, which was the cloud dress scenario. I wanted it to feel like everybody was inside of a storm. So yeah, I just remember like hot gluing pieces to make that costume like the day of. I was like, no, it has to get done. I have to be a cloud for this show. And of course it was like raining that night, so I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah, did you come out with like a giant umbrella too? Kind of just like walking?
Yeah, it was like I was like inside of the cloud. It was I just love an excuse to like create visual pieces that go with the music. So, and I think that's like, I mean, I really love bands that do that too, that like they take the time to think about like what's the visuals going on behind them, or like I do love just like going to a good concert, but I really like going to an experience.
Yeah. Why do you think the visuals are so important to add?
Sometimes the music doesn't say enough, you know, like sometimes the message is bigger, and I want people to feel like a little kid when they go to shows, you know, like I want them to be like almost overstimulated.
Oh my god. And you just put out a new album. Well, I feel like it just happened, but it was like May. Was it May?
It was May, yeah. I mean, it honestly feels like it just happened too, because there's no way to differentiate time right now. So it could have been yesterday, it could have been May, who knows. Yeah, Sick of Saying Sorry. You know, we were thinking about waiting to release it, and I'm really glad that we didn't, because like, for what and for when, you know, like we would have waited like another 2 years, and I just think it's better to have had it come out and let people like have something new and fun to listen to while being locked down. But yeah, that record's definitely like a departure from the first album. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's like a little more introspective. It's more like the first record was the house party, and the second record is like the train ride home from the after party. You know, where you're sort of like a little tired, like little bit smeared mascara, a little like introspective, and you're going home to go to bed at like dawn. Like that's this record.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more emotional, but like in an undertone kind of way. Because a lot of the songs sound like really happy and like.
That's the trick.
But that like undertone, you're like, oh, actually, you're kind of like anxious or sad, or talking about those themes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like my angsty teen record in a sense. You know, I was at the end of my 20s, so I had to really 30s had to change it up. But yeah, it's funny because we would have, gosh, I'm like reminiscing as though like it happened, but it didn't happen. We were supposed to have our record release at Bowery Ballroom, and that was like always a dream of mine to like have a record release there. And so it's like a little strange to feel like that was like taken from us in a sense. But I really hope that when things open back up, maybe we can do like a 2 years later record release party, like just so I can have an excuse to like put on that silly dress and like make people dance with balloons. Yeah. But I mean, by then we'll probably have another record out, honestly. I hope.
I hope, yeah. Who knows how long it's gonna be until we can have like a true like high-waisted party. Like that's.
Yeah, I want to be able to like touch people and get sweaty again, like in a mosh pit. You know, like I want to not be scared to have like people this close to my body.
Yeah, and that's like you can't not do that. Like you have to be close, you have to be sweating, you have to have the glitter stick to your body. Like that's just how.
Yeah, exactly.
I mentioned earlier, not only are you in high-waisted, but you also DJ. And when did you start that in relation? Because I've like been around you doing that for a while, but I don't actually know like when that started.
Yeah, I think I think my first DJ gig was at Cameo Basement. Do you remember that place?
Oh my god, yeah.
Do you remember the secret
venues I went to when I moved here?
Yeah, it was such a cool little spot in Williamsburg, but they had this like secret basement that they would do parties in, and it's sort of like wood paneled and like feels a little naughty. You know, it's like the type of place you go in at 11 p.m. and you leave at 6, and you're just like, what? Like you time warped. You're like, how did I get here? It's Friday morning next week now, and I did like such a cute little timid scaredy cat, had never DJ'd set for maybe like 45 minutes, and it was all like surf rock, and I was like so nervous, but it's funny. I think that was probably like 2-3 years into having High Waisted, and just from there I was like, oh, this is actually really great. Like this is like another awesome way to perform. Like it's like playing, it's like writing your own song with other people's songs, you know, and or like getting like, I just have so much fun with it. So I kind of like transitioned from that into doing some gigs at like Niagara, and where did I go from there? Like lots of little one-offs. I had a party called Judy at Brooklyn Night Bazaar for a little bit. And I mean, it got to the point where like, you know, that was my number one employment for like the last 2 years before lockdown, with like doing like club nights at Berlin, Coney Island Baby, which is now Lola. Like basically that whole like Ave like party night thing where I'd show up at 11, there'd be like a line to get in by midnight, you know, like sparklers, VIP, like nothing but top 40. So I've been DJing online lately, and it's not quite the same, but it still like scratches that itch.
What is there? What's the similarities and what are the differences between performing on stage and kind of almost like performing as a DJ?
Oh gosh, you know, it's funny. I feel like it is a lot harder to perform as a DJ because what you're doing is so subject to criticism, whereas like no one's gonna come up to me when I'm on stage and be like, it's my birthday, can you play, you know, like, can you do this, can you do that, or like, I don't like that, or like, can you do more of this? Like you're not getting like it's not like there's no feedback box when you're on stage with the band. You do your set, people love it, they hate it, whatever, that you leave. And with DJing, it's like this constant give and take with your audience, where it's like and all I do is like stare at the room and just like, okay, those girls love Ariana Grande, gotta keep it more like, I'm gonna do Rihanna now, you know, or I'm just like, oh, those dudes over there, we definitely want Mr. Brightside. Like I'm gonna have to like pull that one out. Like you're like reading the room. So yeah, it's almost like a little stressful because you want to be the perfect background to someone's great night. And I think that's like what I love about it the most, is like watching people like early on, you know, be like, oh, that guy's making eyes at that girl, or like maybe they're gonna like go together, or those guys are like, those girls are like, someone just had a breakup. Like you can just feel that someone's partying because they're having a breakup. So it's like neat to be like, oh, like all these people are having really lovely individual nights that are taking them on their own crazy journeys, and I'm the one that's like basically like putting the soundtrack to their fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I miss it.
Interesting because you created like two different experiences with two types of music that you're creating. This on stage, you're like having, oh, I want to have this party atmosphere that's like inclusive, like I create this vibe so that you can experience it. Whereas if you're a DJ, you're trying to put things together that people might like so you can keep the spirits high and like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and either it's funny because starting out, I was like, I didn't know anything about like electronic music or like even just pop music, like top 40, like classic, just Billboard, what was coming out every week. So it definitely was a huge learning curve for me. Like it took me probably about like a year to feel like I had a great grasp of like what the average person loved, you know, not just like my obscure indie band taste, but like actual pop music. And it's great. I love pop music now. I have such an appreciation. I think like if you're a musician or a music lover, like you can find something to like in any song, you know, whether it's just like, oh, that lyric on the second verse is dope, or like, oh, there's this great breakdown, you know. And I really found myself like falling in love with pop music from like the 2000s on, that like I just missed out on because no one was introducing me to it.
Yeah. That's what has been like some of your favorite new discoveries that might not be new to other people.
Oh yeah, no, this is going to make me sound so silly. I really like Dom Dalla, and I like never really gave Ariana Grande's catalog much of like a listen because I just thought I was like, too many notes. She's singing too much. I can't find the hook. And no, like I really love Ariana, and also just like early Rihanna. I've like a whole new sense of appreciation for early Rihanna. Yeah, I I play a lot of that stuff. Like I love mixing it in with like, trying to sneak in some of like what I call like indie pop, like a little bit of like Daft Punk or maybe LCD, like in with like the ladies, the pop divas.
Yeah, to introduce people like, oh, here's a little sprinkle of like something I like, maybe I can introduce you to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this also has a great beat. You might like this.
So now obviously a lot of the fun things that you used to be able to do, like DJing and concerts and stuff, we can't really do right now. But you started streaming on Twitch, which I feel like it took a while for people to figure out like that Twitch was the thing that they could use. But I've been hearing a lot more musicians that are starting to hop on there.
Yeah, and even like I almost feel like I'm a little late to the party. I think there's a lot of people jumped on it like right away in March. Like that first week of lockdown in New York City, I threw a digital dance party with Do NYC, and my whole thing was that I wanted it to be interactive. Like I went into it with like a very like highwaism mentality, and so I did it over Zoom with you basically would go to another page and everyone could have the exact same mix and like high quality what I was spinning, and then everybody would be in their own Zoom room. So it was kind of cool because you'd have like 60 or 70 people all with their little boxes on Zoom, and you could scroll through and you felt like you were at this interactive dance party. Some people were like, I had a girlfriend say like, oh, I was texting with so-and-so the whole time while we were in the Zoom while you were DJing, and it felt like we were in line at the bathroom. Because like we were like, I was like, oh, that's so neat, and I think that those parties for me did really well early on because it was novel. Like people were it was like so new, like, oh, we're gonna do Zoom and be online, it's gonna be fun, like lockdown, how we're gonna make the best of this. And now I feel like a lot of people have sort of what I call venue fatigue. It's not that they don't care about what I'm doing or what other musicians are doing, they just don't want to sit on Zoom anymore. Like they don't want to go to that same venue to participate. And but I'm noticing that with Twitch that's not the case. Like there's still such a huge community around Twitch, and with that I also think that like with Twitch is that people go there specifically looking to interact and looking to find new music. Like I was, I did my stream yesterday, I've been doing Sundays, and afterwards I spent maybe like 4 hours just like cruising Twitch looking for other DJs to watch, and it's fun because you get to feel a little less alone, and like and with DJing too, you usually don't get direct access to talk to the DJ, and I think that with Twitch it sort of normalizes that.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people who are trying all different types of live stream things, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And Instagram you can be a little interactive, Facebook you can be a little interactive, but it doesn't always like look that fun either.
Yeah.
And you can access Twitch on like any platform, like mobile, online, stuff like that, and you can make it look however you want and like add emotes that make it different. Like no one does that, like that's or add rewards that you can do that change up the vibe. Like that's more interactive and more concert-ish feeling, or like.
Yeah, and what Twitch does really great is that if they do, at least for the people that are hosting the events and like that are doing the performances, Twitch does gamification. So they sort of reward you as streamer to hit these goals, to create this content, to make the viewing experience better for the viewers. So I think the fact that every streamer on Twitch is sort of all working towards the same goal of like having it be such a unique and well put together play experience that elevates the entire platform. And I know some people are doing that with overlays and all that stuff on YouTube, but it's just not as easy, and I don't think it works across all the platforms as well as it does on Twitch.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like getting paid for doing stuff on Twitch, how does that work, and how are you? Is it beneficial?
Yeah, so that's like such a funny question. It is like, it doesn't cost anything to start, right? Like you just need to buy gear, and like I feel like every week I'm like realizing I need one more piece of like one more cable or one more this, one more that, and it's been such a learning curve for me, for somebody who is like, like kind of tech savvy. Like I can watch a YouTube video and figure most things out, but it's been like such a learning curve from like doing the graphic design to everything else. So I think if you budget out how much time I've done to make everything look as professional as it is to what I'm making off of the actual streams, like it's not worth it, but that's not why I'm doing it. The great thing that's like Twitch, and it's sort of like a not like GoFundMe, what is it, Patreon? It's sort of like Patreon. People subscribe monthly, and then as a streamer, you get a percentage of those subscriptions every month. So the more subscribers, the more you make. People can also tip using like the little cute emoticons and stuff in the stream. So I don't really know what I've made off of it so far, but it's probably peanuts, and it doesn't matter. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because like I miss performing, I miss interacting with friends, and it's a great excuse for me to like think about DJing and like stay on top of my game, so that when I do come out of lockdown, it's not like I just sat idle for a year.
Yeah. I think like in all ways, it's just interactive for everybody, and that's what people desire right now is connection, however you can get it.
Absolutely. I think the one thing I wish existed, and it like doesn't exist, I've been looking forever, maybe I should just invent it, but imagine if there was like a Twitch type quality where there's a chat and everything else, and all the emotes and the streamer audio and visuals were as customizable as they are, but there's an option for viewers to cam up. Because that's the one thing that I really loved about like some of those first interactive dance parties, is that everybody felt like they were getting their 15 minutes. So it's like everybody was on camera, and it was just like one more step of personalizing that interaction. And I wish there was something that let you do that. Because how cool would it be if it was like, you know, streamer, and then they had 600 people in the room, and you know, 600 little dots you could circle and see all their videos where they're all like at home dancing to the song. Like, and that's like, I wish someone could invent that. I'm sure it's just like too much bandwidth to make it happen, but I don't know. I'll email Twitch.
Specific like DJ platform.
Yeah, that's like
parties online.
That's what I want. I know. By the time it gets built, we'll be like out of lockdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do hope to keep doing this, and like I think my next step, once I can actually get in somewhere, I want to start doing my live streams from like some of the bars I used to work at, because a lot of them are still open and serving food and drinks to go, even though it's like 30 degrees in New York City. But I'm like, oh, it'd be cool like if no one's using the stage to just be like, I'm gonna set up on Sundays and film my Twitch live from this amazing stage with like amazing lights, because why not?
Yeah, then you get more notice for that venue too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, maybe people would like come and get their takeaway drinks from here if they knew there was me in the basement all by myself DJing for their pleasure.
Yeah.
I one thing in quarantine that I've started like picked up that I didn't intend to is like playing video games. I'm like obsessed. I know I've been talking about it a lot lately, but I just started I moved off of my Switch. Like I was like one of those cutie pies on Animal Crossing for like 8 months, and I haven't been to my island in a long time, so they're feeling very neglected because I've moved on to the PS4, officially using the hard to use controller. I was like scared of it for years. And now I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's like, that's why I'm a little like hoarse voice today, because I was up too late trying to beat a battle, but here I am. I don't know. That's like, I'm trying to think of like the only thing that really changed me this year, and it's, I've managed to like stay positive as positive as I could through everything, and like doing Twitch to scratch like the performance age. But now I think I'm gonna come out of quarantine with like a new addiction to video gaming.
And that's probably something that you wouldn't have had a lot of time for before.
Oh, like never would have even considered it. Literally, like no. Like my two girlfriends back in, I guess, March, they're like, oh, we're gonna get 5 Nintendo Switches and do this Animal Crossing game. I was like, what is it? Like, you just like take care of animals on island? I was like, fine, I'll buy a Switch. And I was so lucky because I got a Switch right before they like sold out everywhere. Like not even knowing, like people were looking for them, like they were back ordered up until like June or July or something. So it's funny getting my Animal Crossing cup right now, but I'm obsessed. Yeah, so it's just like, it's funny how like your entire, like everything that you think you are, like can change based on your circumstance so quickly. Like I fell in love with like whole new passions and actually reconnected with a lot of friends through gaming too. So yeah, I'm all about it. I'm like, let's hang out on the internet. Like, this is great. Keep going.
It helps with people who want to be more introverted and like, oh, I want to do things, but also like not really, and you can still be social.
Yeah, I see it helps for me as an extrovert because I'm like, this still like, you know, I still get to like see my friends kind of,
Yeah,
but safely.
yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, that's a lot. I will say that High Waisted has a music video coming out in the next like month or so. So be on the lookout for that.
Ooh, what song can you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for Serial.
Oh, fun. Oh,
yeah.
That's my favorite song off the album.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah, it's funny because Jono, my bandmate and partner, he made the video with his grandma off of like my treatment a couple years ago. So we've been sitting on it for a long time, and I was just like, I was hoping to have it kind of come out like, you know, towards us actually being able to play it live, because I want to play Serial in front of people.
Yeah.
So, but the video is really sweet, and it definitely touches like all the heartstrings. So I'm excited to have it come out this spring.
Oh, fun. All right, we're gonna have all links below of High Waisted, so you can go make sure you follow their page and check out their newest album and wait for the music video. And also I'll link to Jess's Instagram and her Twitch page, so you can make sure you can join us at one of her DJ sessions, because they're fun.
Yeah, we'll party on Twitch.
Yeah. All right, thank you everybody, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Till next time.
Bye. Thank you.